We've been reporting that there are thousands, if not tens of thousands of Afghans trying to leave the country before the US departs. And lots of you have been asking what you can do to help, who is on the ground making a difference. One of those organizations is the International Women's Media Foundation. They fight for women journalists around the world. And right now they're affiliated with the GoFundMe campaign that's raised nearly $6 million in a matter of days to try and help get people out and resettled. I'm joined now by the executive director, Elisa Lees Muñoz, who has been fighting for gender equity for journalists around the world and now trying to make a difference in Afghanistan. Elisa, thanks for taking the time.
Thank you.
Can you first just tell us a little bit about what you're hearing from women journalists, people on the ground in Afghanistan right now?
Women journalists on the ground are terrified. They are trying to contact everybody they know for information about how best to get out of the country. They are seeking safe houses to hide, and they are running out of data on their cell phones. The banks are closed. They're not being able to get money. The safe houses are running out of supplies. It is literally chaos on the ground there. And even those who are lucky enough to get their name on the list and the green light to head to the airport are finding it nearly impossible to make their way into the airport, even with all of the documentation that would get them on a plane.
Would you tell us a little bit more about that? I've heard from a number of organizations, people I'm talking to, that there's just a scene of chaos outside the airport, but none of us really understands what that means.
Yeah, so there's a main gate to the airport, and thousands of people are surrounding that main gate, and including the Taliban. So anybody trying to approach that gate is literally taking their life into their own hands. They're being beaten back, they're being whipped. There have been gunshots fired, and many just give up and turn around and leave. And again, we're talking about those that actually have the documentation to get in and to get on a plane. So we and other organizations are working, trying to find safe passage to the airport and advising these women journalists and activists as best we can about where they should go, what routes they should take, and when it's time to turn around and go home and try again another day.
And I understand some of them are even calling you, or you're helping to escort them as they're trying to approach the airport.
Yeah, I mean, our security director has been on the phone as these attempts are being made, with terrified women on the other end of the line telling him what's going on. And so we're just doing the best we can to supply whatever help we can when people are in touch with us. And, you know, we're one organization, other organizations are doing similar work, and it's really one person at a time right now that we're trying to help.
Would you give us a sense of who qualifies for the SIV? You said even if they have the paperwork, what does it take to get that paperwork?
It's my understanding right now that activists, human rights activists, government officials, people in the public sector are being prioritized for P2 authorization, meaning emergency immigration status, so they can get processed by the United States. There may be others, but those are the ones that I'm familiar with. So a number of individuals fall under that category.
What might befall these women if they don't get out?
It's really hard to imagine. In Kabul right now, in the safe houses, people are even afraid to be found in the safe houses, right? Because obviously if you're in a safe house, it's obvious that it's a safe house. People are in hiding. People in the other cities are in even more danger because it's more difficult to hide in smaller cities. So I think what we anticipate is that women will no longer be able to work as journalists. We will no longer be getting their stories or the stories of other women in Afghanistan, if any news is coming out of Afghanistan at all.
One of the sort of cruel ironies of this situation is that the Taliban is manning these checkpoints where these people have to show up and say, here's my paperwork that I'm in danger if I stay because you, the Taliban, could harm me. So please let me through. And if they don't get out, now they've surfaced themselves to the Taliban. So it's really just a horrific situation. Can you give us a broader sense of why you do the work you do.
It's what I was referring to earlier. If we don't have women journalists, especially in countries where you cannot access the female population unless you are a woman, then we're going to disappear. Women just disappear. The issues that they face disappear. And I'm not talking about, quote unquote, women's issues. All issues are women's issues, but their representation in the news media will be unseen. And we just won't hear what is happening to them, what is happening in the country. It will be extremely tragic if they no longer have a voice in this world.
And to my audience, I just want to put a point on what she said. One of the rules when the Taliban was last in charge was that women can only see a female healthcare worker, a female doctor, nurse, et cetera. But the Taliban wouldn't allow women to be trained to be doctors or nurses. So there was no female available for most women to see. So women couldn't actually get medical care. And if half your population can't get medical care, your population, men and women, are suffering. And this is the kind of work that women journalists can help bring to light, all journalists, but especially women who know what's happening. And that is some of the work that the IWMF is supporting to get these voices out. I want to give you an opportunity to say anything if you want, and also let us know how we can support you guys.
Beyond reporting, they can't even leave the house without a male escort, and that male escort can even be a child. So imagine the situation that these women are facing.
I know I'm told that the women who don't have a man in their household are panicking because it's as though they can never leave the house again. You need a man to take you out. One of the pieces of advice I've been given is that activists are asking people who are concerned to call Congress and call the White House. Do you advise that? And if so, what do you advise people say?
I think a couple of things are really important. I think trying to allow as many of these refugees into the United States is really important. And I think that's where individuals have some say, and they should be calling their representatives and saying that they support the admission of more Afghani refugees into the United States, given the incredible debt that the United States owes these brave individuals. The other thing that individuals can do is that the United States has, I believe, is allowing at least 20,000 at last I heard, but that number should be greater, into the US. These people are going to need everything. They are coming with the clothes on their back and whatever they can carry in their pockets. So they have to start over. So really, in your communities, look for organizations that are supporting Afghan refugees and give them whatever they're asking for.
And people can go to your website and find and support you directly as well.
That's true. Yes, they can.
Anything you'd like us to know? You have an opportunity to speak to an audience that cares. What should they be thinking about as we approach this August 31st deadline?
I think we're in an extreme emergency situation right now until August 31st, but this is going to continue beyond August 31st. And like all critical situations, it's just important to keep on top of it. It's not going to disappear after the US leaves. These journalists and activists are going to still need support. We should still be inquiring about their well-being, and we should still be taking care of them in our own country.
That was my final question, but now I have a new final question, which is, I just want people to also understand there are other ways this could have happened. And one of the things that sometimes happens is that people are evacuated in advance, or the city is established. There's a security perimeter that is like an entire city. We could have secured Kabul if we'd been willing to take other kinds of steps. So we're in an especially precarious position right now. Is there anything we should convey to our government about security measures that should be taken in the next coming days, or is it too late for that?
I truly think it's too late. I think that holding on to the airport and manning those gates is what the focus is. And I don't think that the US government is going to go outside of the airport to try to facilitate any movement outside. That's not what they see the mandate as being right now. And so that's going to be left to other governments who might be willing to do that, nonprofit organizations who are, working with security folks to try to help these people get to the airport.
Elisa, thank you for your work. and for what you're
Thank
doing.
you for your attention to this. It's really meaningful. I appreciate it, Jessica. Take care.
Hi, I'm Jessica Yellin. If you like this video, please click subscribe, and you can click the bell to get notifications when we post new content. Thanks for watching.